Xbox and Steam together for the future of consoles would be massive. We have more information about Bungie. It keeps getting worse there, especially after all of the plagiarism that they have done. Some more information about games that are coming out. MSI is releasing another handheld that is more along the lines of the current ones that are out there. Naughty Dog could be working on two games, not just one, with the Heretic Prophet Intergalactic. So we'll talk about that plus other things. But before we continue, if you enjoy daily gaming news and content, hit the subscribe, share the video, like it, all that stuff helps get my channel out there, helps people see it, and helps the channel grow. So would appreciate it. But for now, let's jump into it. The future of the Xbox hardware and the consoles is still up in the air in terms of exactly what is going to be included with this. We've seen rumors consistently that Steam is going to be involved, that there's going to be PC launchers on the next Xbox, because it's essentially just going to be a PC that is built for your at-home theater. To sit in front of the big screen TV on your couch and everything, which is the point of consoles essentially. And you're now potentially going to be able to launch Steam games, Epic Games, GOG, everything that you own on your PC and on the Xbox ecosystem on the next Xbox console. If they do end up doing this, I think that's a massive win here for gamers, a massive win for consoles, and for obviously people within the Xbox ecosystem. Well, we have more here about Steam and Microsoft, and potentially here that they are testing Steam integration within the Microsoft Store, potentially for the next Xbox 2. We have this report here from WCCF Tech. And they say, according to the Insider Ecstasies, Microsoft has internally begun testing Steam integration within the Microsoft Store environment, specifically saying Xbox plus Steam are heading into the next generation, but steps are already being taken as Microsoft has just added the Steam application to support software for its devices, appearing under the name of Steam Developer Beta. They say this, of course, is currently only available to certain employees and people who collaborate with Microsoft to provide support or develop certain things. And they say this is more than just a detail, because it logically reflects Microsoft's intention to facilitate coexistence and cooperation between its Xbox ecosystem and the gigantic PC platform that is Steam today. This integration will allow users to run Steam more smoothly and directly from Windows environments and, in the future, Xbox environments. It says here, I've been telling you that the next generation of Xbox is going to be more like a PC than a console. Everything is going to be developed around PC environments. Those logically need Steam integration, and you'll have that in your Microsoft Store when you turn on your next generation Xbox console. This will allow you to have Steam on your Xbox console and on any Windows device without the need for complex configurations, which is a key step for the experience of the future consoles. So, of course, this is just a rumor, hearsay, word of mouth, whatever you want to call it. Nothing here has been confirmed, but we have heard multiple different discussions about this being the future of Xbox, having that full PC integration with the different launchers on there. And again, that would be a massive win here. Of course, there is a good point that is made here that they need to make sure that if you are accessing Steam, you're accessing Epic or GOG or whatever on the next at-home Xbox hardware, you're not going to want to have to tinker with stuff or with like you do on PC. I think the point of consoles is one of the major points, at least, is convenience. So if you're launching a game from Steam, it should automatically configure for the console. You can jump in and play as seamless as you would with popping in a current console game on your Xbox or PlayStation or your Nintendo. And I think that's going to be a huge thing that they would have to discover and think about how that is going to work on the console itself, because there will be people out there who just don't want to have that full PC experience. They want to be able to play some games that they potentially own on Steam or any of the other launchers, but they don't want to have to go in there and try to optimize settings and everything to get it to run properly on the console itself, because there will be different power than high-end PCs or even mid-range or lower-end PCs. There will be a difference there when it comes to whatever the next at-home Xbox console is. So lots of stuff to think about, but I do believe if they do go in this direction, this is the right choice, the smart choice, and it would be a massive win again for console owners, just basically reducing barriers, reducing walls to access games. We're going to be getting a box that has pretty much everything. It even will have PlayStation games if it has Steam, because PlayStation games are on Steam. The only thing that would be missing, of course, would be the Nintendo Switch exclusives. That would be the only thing that you wouldn't be getting on this next box if it has all of these launchers. So I hope this is the case. I would love it because I have a huge Steam library, I have a huge Xbox library. If I get all of those into a singular place and I can play all of that sitting back on my couch, just on a nice form factored console that you plug into the TV. It's not like this huge thing that if I were to plug in my PC to my TV, where right now I guess technically you do get Xbox and you do get Steam, but you don't get the Xbox console stuff. That's to me something that is very enticing. And I wonder if we will see and hear anything more about this at the upcoming Xbox showcase, if they will at all talk about the future of the Xbox hardware, because we have also seen hints that we will be hearing about something sooner rather than later. My hunch is the hardware we will be hearing about is going to be the Asus Xbox handheld and potentially other third-party manufacturers jumping into the handheld space, making one specifically for the Xbox ecosystem. All right, let's talk Marathon again, because we talked about this in yesterday's show, and I seen all the comments on there. A lot of people were saying that I'm naive and everything about thinking that this wasn't malicious and that this is a pattern of Bungie going out there and it's taking people's artwork and everything. My initial thought process around this entire situation was isolated to that specific event. That Bungie's huge. They have multiple developers, multiple contractors, internal, external. And I wouldn't be shocked if this happens many times across the industry, where you have people out there plagiarizing, taking people's art. But for majority of these companies, they probably can catch this stuff before it actually gets out to the public, so that you're not actually taking people's art and then claiming it as your own and using it on your commercial product. So that, I think, probably happens more than we actually do know about. But I mean, I could be wrong on that. The reality here with Marathon, however, is that this did get out, and it is a very bad situation. They obviously need to compensate and really make it up in a major way to Anti-Real for the art that was plagiarized. And on top of that, I think the biggest issue here at Bungie is poor management, poor oversight, and there needs to be changes, because looking into it after going through the comments even more, this was like the fourth time. So the history behind this does not look good at all for Bungie, whether you think this is something that they plan on doing or this was just another thing that fell through management and fell through the oversight. It needs to absolutely be changed. And Bungie has been kind of in a downward spiral for a while now. Sony purchased them, and at first, my opinion was this is a good purchase because they need games as a service and they need multiplayer, and Bungie could really fit the bill for PlayStation when it comes to this. But it's been a terrible purchase. It's been basically a failure since they've picked it up. There's been multiple issues, been multiple management issues. Marathon now looks like it is going to end up being a failure and not do well, especially with this controversy, which I think is kind of that nail in the coffin, at least right now at this point, unless they can do something crazy to turn around. So it isn't good. And there's more stories continuously coming out about Bungie. And again, it just does not look good for the future of the studio. It does not look good for the future of this game. They say here that from Insider Gaming, former Marathon developer says working on game was toxic. And specifically saying here, a former Bungie employee who worked on Marathon during his time at the studio says that the working on the game was extremely toxic and humiliating. This is a post here on social media. It's on Blue Sky, but if you actually click on it, interestingly enough, the post has been deleted. Not sure exactly what that means, whether this whole thing was just not as it said or they got worried and they took it down. We don't know, but this is what they are saying here. Working with the engineering, Marathon leadership was extremely toxic and humiliating. I won't speak about the rest, but Bungie leadership needs to be gutted completely. And they say here that this is Jensen here, who worked on a team that developed the online services for the game. And this was kind of my entire thing yesterday as well, is that it's the management and the leadership that has to be the issue here more so than anything whatsoever. If a contractor goes out there and plagiarizes work and it gets out into the build that goes out to gamers and players that actually see it and play it, that means that there was some management oversight issue, that they didn't catch this before it did come out. Or you could make the argument, as I've seen many people again in my comments make the argument, that the management and Bungie themselves have actually been doing this on purpose. The other thing I do see when it does come to this is that I don't see any benefit of, especially from a developer like Bungie, of stealing someone's artwork without just paying for it upfront and licensing it upfront, because the fallouts and the negativity surrounding doing something like that when it does get caught, like we have seen 4 times now, far outweighs any sort of cost savings I think that they would have from not just paying for the artwork upfront. So this entire situation is just weird. It's bad. And hopefully they can do something to make things right, at least with the artists whose work did get taken. But again, we're getting more information coming out about being toxic now and stuff. So I wonder if this will continue. We'll have more stories coming out about Bungie and the development of Marathon. They haven't pushed back the release date yet. They're still trying to aim for that September release date. So we'll see if they do end up delaying it or not, or if they just stick to their guns and hope that the game speaks for itself in terms of the fun and the gameplay and everything. And it does end up catching on. All right. Moving on for Bungie here, we have looks like a new Injustice game could be in development, and this is according to a multiverses data miner. The Injustice fighting games are super cool with all the superheroes that you play with and fight with. And we have this report here that Multiverse Susie put this out here on X, saying that leaving me without any leaks is yet again another injustice. And then they continued with Multiverse Susie, following up by replying with 3, which here would assume that they are inferring that Injustice 3 is in development. They say both Multiverses and Injustice are games published by Warner Brothers Games, which may explain how Multiverse Susie has seemingly been able to acquire data on the latter. The last game in the series was Injustice 2, and this was released in 2017, which was a cool one. So I wonder if this will happen. They've canceled Multiverse. They've shut that one down. WB has been kind of in a little bit of trouble with some of the stuff that they have been putting out. You think about the Kill the Justice League game that did come out, and that had a terrible reception. I think it lost them up to like $200 million or something along those lines, something that they had mentioned in terms of just how poorly that game did commercially. I think now with fighting games at a point that are more popular than they've been over a while. There was a point where fighting games had really fallen off, but I think they are back here. We were seeing many of them come out. I think Injustice 3 could do good. And I feel like if they're going to make a fighting game, this would be the one to make. Just with the popularity of the characters that are in there, you'll have people wanting to go ahead and check this game out. All right, PC handhelds are going to continue to be huge. I mean, it started with the Steam Deck, and we've gotten so many from many different companies out there. MSI did their own. They went out differently than all of the other ones, and they created one with an Intel chip, an Intel core in it, and it was actually pretty good, the second iteration of their product. But it looks like now they are going to be making more MSI handhelds, but they are going to be using the AMD Z2 Extreme. So they're going to be moving over to the AMD chip, which is the one that we did hear is rumored coming up in the ROG Xbox Ally, whatever they're going to end up calling it, that hopefully we will see more about soon. So they're going to be following along those lines. This is here as reported by GamesRadar during Computex 2025. MSI revealed its latest Windows gaming handheld, the MSI Claw A8 BZ2EM, which is just an absolutely absurd name. They say, but unlike previous entries, the Claw line will be the first to not have an Intel APU. Instead, it will have the next-gen AMD Ryzen Z2 Extreme, and then the follow-up Z1 line seen in the Asus ROG Ally, Ally X, Lenovo Legion Go, and other gaming handhelds. So that's the follow-up to those chips here, and you can see them here. They have different colors and everything, and I have a feeling this is exactly what is going to be, like I said, in that Xbox handheld that we have seen shown off or seen leaked, where we saw the shell, the handles on that, and it has the Xbox button. I feel like it's going to have the same chip as this MSI one. I also wouldn't be shocked if MSI were to go out there and make their own Xbox handheld and have that in their line as well with that chip. The one that they currently have out here is the MSI Claw 8 AI Plus, which is currently $1,000 at Best Buy. But I've heard good things about this one with the performance and everything. So that one seems like it is a good device. And I wonder how will there be a big bump here with these Z2 Extreme? Because I am looking forward to seeing this next line of PC handles. My biggest thing, of course, with the PC handles, as I've mentioned multiple times, is battery life. Can we get more than just an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours, depending on really how you push it when you're playing games that you've downloaded, AAA games, things like that? Can we get up to like 4 hours? That would be ideal. 4 or 5 hours. At some point we get there with these PC handles. That would be very, very good to be able to play all of your latest AAA games, double, whatever you want to play, all of the latest games that get released on these handhelds and take them on the go. All right, Naughty Dog. Looks like they are working on more than one game. Obviously, the big one in develop right now is Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophets, but apparently they're also developing something else here on the side. Neil Druckmann says that he's working on a second unannounced game at Naughty Dog. Speaking with Press X to continue podcast, Druckmann has reiterated that Naughty Dog is still working on at least two projects and confirmed he is producing an unannounced game alongside Intergalactic, saying, "We have several directors on Intergalactic. I work with two game directors, Matthew Gallon and Kurt Margineau, and I have a co-writer in Claire Carre." Says, "So there are times when I'm away and they are in charge and I get to come back and be surprised and enjoy certain choices they made, and other ones I pull my hair out over and we have to change course or argue about it." Continues here to say, "Then there's another game that's being worked on at Naughty Dog where I'm more of a producer role and I get to mentor or watch this other team, give feedback, and be the executive in the room. I enjoy all these roles, and the fact that I jump from one to the next makes my job very exciting and always feeling fresh. I'm never bored." So I wonder what exactly this game is. They say here that his comments suggest that at least two prominent game directors, Sean Eskeg and Anthony Newman. So Sean here is from Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. Anthony Newman from The Last of Us could be working on the unannounced projects. I wonder if it's a new IP or if they're going to go back and finally give us a new Uncharted or something like that. I would bet more on it being a legacy IP, a new entry into a legacy IP, rather than taking a second chance here with a brand new IP, because the risk is far higher. We've seen the rising development costs. I don't know if Sony has the stomach for a new IP to fail right now, especially along the lines in their single player experiences where this is going to be multiple hundreds of millions of dollars to develop. I just don't know if they have the stomach for that. So they may go with a more conservative approach and just make a game in an IP that they know will sell. I feel like that's what the second game would end up being. We've already seen a pretty mixed reactions, I would say, to Intergalactic: Heretic Prophet, and a lot of this just has to do with the culture wars and everything that go on online. But we have seen that mixed reaction, and they're probably saying they're hoping that this thing does end up doing well. I don't really know if they can afford for Naughty Dog to have a failure of a game. I don't think they can afford for Bungie and Marathon to fail. That one looks like that is going to end up failing, at least as of right now. But they definitely can't afford for Naughty Dog to not hit it out of the park, because they basically do every single time they release a game. And finally, NVIDIA DLSS 4 is now available in over 125 games and apps. Doom: The Dark Ages path tracing update is coming in June, and then there will be even more DLSS titles. So for those who have DLSS 4 playing on PC and everything with the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 50 series, you're going to be getting a bunch more games that are going to be added for the support of DLSS 4, which is a great thing here. They say that the number is only going to grow in the coming months, as NVIDIA has also announced that they have 10 more games that will receive DLSS 4 support soon, which is Crimson Desert, F125, FBC Firebreak, Inzoi, Motrim, Mind's Eye, Portal with RTX, Roadcraft, Splitgate 2, and Wu Chang 2 Fallen Feathers, plus everything else that they will be announcing sooner rather than later in terms of games being added to the list. And then Doom the Dark Ages has the path tracing, ray traced reflections, and global illumination. The game does look phenomenal. id 8 is awesome. It's a great engine. I wish that Xbox would use id on more games that they do put out, because I think they could have just consistently great results using that engine. But of course, they need the people to know how to use it to be able to make the games. And I feel like that is just kind of comprised of the people who make games like Doom, who made Indiana Jones, and they can't spread that out to every other studio out there. And also, you do want variety. You don't want every single game looking the same. I just think id is absolutely phenomenal. But I'm going to end the video there. If you did enjoy this game, make sure to hit that thumbs up. If you are new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.